Hey everybody, welcome to the Social Reconstructionism video. This is the last of the three that kind of all started with pragmatism, which got filtered down to progressivism, and then out of progressivism, a rebel arose and invented social reconstructionism. That rebel's name was George Counts, who wrote this book called Dare the School Build a New Social Order. You can see it's a very thin book. This is a great book. I love this book. If you're interested in educational philosophy at all, the whole book is only, I think it's 52 pages long. Yep, 52 pages. It is well worth the time to read it. Because what it is actually three speeches basically stapled together and called a book. Now let me lay the situation for this and why, how social reconstruction came to be. Okay, I believe it was 1932. We're in the throes of the Depression. There's a meeting of the National Education Association, which at the time was not a teachers union. It was an organization for anyone in education, from university presidents down to elementary teachers. Now, it's also 1932. Dewey kind of rose to prominence in the 1890s. So progressivism has been around for a while, and it has already started to become perverted with the whole child-centeredness and letting kids do whatever they want. So, in this meeting, George Counts was invited to give the opening address. And man, he dropped a bomb on them. His opening speech basically shut down the convention. People went nuts when he started speaking. If you can take the time to read this, read it and think of like a 50-year-old guy, 50, 60-year-old guy just banging on a podium because he thinks basically the world's going to hell and it's progressives' faults. Okay? So, I've got my notes from this book in front of me. I'm going to read just several of his quotes. He says that we are convinced as a nation that education is a remedy for all ills in society. And he does recognize that progressivism has achieved some things in schools. They focus attention squarely on the child. They recognize the importance of interest of the learner. And they recognize that activity lies at the heart of all true education. But he continues, but that is not enough. He says, in the last analysis, a very large part of American educational thought, now he's talking about progressivism here, a very large part of educational thought, inquiry, and experimentation is much ado about nothing. He's saying basically you're just twiddling your thumbs, guys. He says the weakness of progressive education is that it elaborated no theory of social welfare. It reflects the viewpoint of members of the liberal-minded upper class who send their children into progressive schools, who, in spite of their good qualities, have no deep and abiding loyalties, possess no convictions over which they would sacrifice much. At the bottom, he continues, they are romantic sentimentalists with a sharp eye on the main chance. Okay? He goes on to say that progressive education cannot put its trust in child-centered schools. Okay? Because he says the idea of this natural development you can't impose upon the child, that the progressives, and going back all the way to pragmatists and to before them, Rousseau, he says the idea that the child is born free is wrong. Children are not born free. He says there's a fallacy that man is born free. In fact, he is born helpless. He achieves freedom. People achieve freedom through a culture, through a set of rules. Now, a lot of you are about to write your philosophy paper. If you came to me and said, so Phil, I need some help writing my philosophy paper, can you help me? I say, yeah, sure. Do whatever you want. How are you going to leave my office? You're going to be like, man, that didn't help me at all. You're going to feel more constricted by the absolute freedom I've just given you. Okay? We, social reconstructionists would argue, crave some structure. He also goes on to say that the progressives hold a fallacy that children live in a separate world. He's like, no way, man. Childhood is nothing special. It's just part of the continuum of life. Children are not good by nature. there's no such thing as good without a culture within it. He says that basically the progressives lost their chance. They had a chance to really try to change society, but they blew it. Okay, by focusing on the children and trying to get them to engage in the society, which was part of, remember the whole society and microcosm thing. It was part of their plan. They didn't really change society. They didn't. Instead of trying to mold society by shaping people, they shaped people by molding them to the already existing society. And in the 30s, that's pretty bad. I mean, we're in the depths of the Depression right now. So, look at the title of the book. The book says, Dare the School Build a New Social Order. Social Reconstructionism. If you think of those words, social, referring to society, Reconstructionism, referring to rebuilding. Okay? The aim of social Reconstructionism, if you're going to fill in those boxes on your table, is to rebuild society, to make society a more fair and more open, more democratic system. Okay. Now, it gets a little more narrow than that. It's not just to rebuild it and to make things more fair. It's to get the children to do it, to get the children to take action. If you're a social Reconstructionist teacher and you don't get your kids to do things to improve society, you're lousy. You're a terrible teacher. Okay, and this can go from kindergarten to high school, to you guys, to university. Everyone, according to social Reconstructionism, can improve society within their means. You know, little kids can go around and, pick up the playground or maybe, rake leaves. You guys or high school students can march on the Capitol building over there, write your legislature, take a policy position, run for office. But everyone can do something. And you can't just talk about it. You got to get off your butt and go do it. The curriculum for a social Reconstructionist would be heavy on what we would now call social justice things, okay? Lots and lots of social sciences, history, social studies, sociology, that kind of thing. A lot of political science, a lot of emphasis on language in that you've got to make your case, but it would be active. The teacher's role in the classroom, and this is going to sound silly, but I really do mean it. The teacher's role should be kind of like head cheerleader, like, yeah, go get them, getting the other people to take action. The big thinker is George Counts. The reason I love this book is because he pulls no punches, man. This guy is going for broke. He wants to basically overthrow society and make it better. That's also its biggest weakness. Oh, this is a hoot to read, man. This is some really good reading. It's really kind of impractical. If you go into your first teaching assignment and you're like, yeah, fight the man. We got to speak truth to power. Who's the man? The man is who just hired you. Okay, if you're a hardcore social Reconstructionist, you're not going to be employed very long. Okay, if you're rabble-rousing with your kids, which the critics will call it rabble-rousing, you'll call it enlightening or empowering. But there's some real practical issues about the ability of teachers to engender social change, and especially those people who become teachers. Most people who become teachers had good school experiences. They like school the way it is. Those people aren't going to be looking for major change. So the very people that social Reconstructionism invests in to change society are not the most radical people around to force social change. In the end, I like to think of social Reconstructionism as progressivism on steroids. Gone is let's let the kids develop naturally. They're like, forget that, man. We've got to let the kids develop, but we have to say, go in this direction. So it is kind of heavy-handed towards what we would call social justice now, where other things it may not be. But it is a lot of fun to read about, and if you're going to be a secondary social studies teacher, this very well, or maybe a speech teacher, this very well may be a philosophy for you. But that's George Counts and social Reconstructionism. Have a great day. Bye.